Alrighty, folks, we are getting set up here for the Bridge to Cup race. It got rained out yesterday from Charlotte. We had 22 laps in the books from last night, and so we are getting ready for the other 178 laps remaining in our race. And Jimmy Logano was leading the way for the first 22 laps and had the likes of Alex Sanvital running him down. And we've got Bowers, Crowther. Just going to quick skim through here. These are all your drivers as they were in the lineup last night, right up to the point when the rains hit. So, a lot on the line here. That head-to-head matchup battle is getting very interesting, as a lot of these drivers need to beat someone else out there today to be eligible for the championship. We'll try not to bog you down too much with the head-to-head matchups. We'll kind of wait maybe a little bit closer to the end of the race to actually laser focus on the head-to-head matchups. But all you need to know for the most part is just about everyone here in the top 10 fighting for something here tonight. There are 16 drivers in the head-to-head matchups, and each one of them's got a different rival that they're battling here tonight. Some folks are going to come out on top. Some folks are going to come out on the bottom. And we're back and rolling here for the Soda Pop 300 from Charlotte. 178 laps left to go in this one. Picking up right where we left off last night. Man, did the rain come pouring in strong here in Charlotte. These drivers barely had chance to pull down pit road without the track just getting drenched. Trying to get the early lead here on the restart today. It's going to be Carson Bowers, but Jimmy Logano holding that lead. Bowers has his team owner right behind him there, nose to tail. Jimmy Logano closing that gap. He's going to pick up where he left off last night, leading the race here tonight. Oh, and the 40 gets into the wall just a little bit there. '84, that is Alex Crowther getting stuck up on the high side, and he's losing some ground now. 74 of Moger in the mix here. He's going to be one of those drivers fighting in a head-to-head matchup. Moger's going to have to beat the 50 of Tim Cording, who's just 2 spots ahead of him there. Finley Herwig, on the other hand, he's got to beat Alex Crowther, which is going to be a tall feat, but Crowther just got into the wall and lost some ground there. So Finley doing what he must at the moment. All in the meanwhile, Jimmy Logano up front leading. Silly season's been starting to spin up here for the Bridge to Cup series. One of our first leagues to really start figuring out who's moving in and who's moving out, as this is really the crossroads for most of our Sigma talent. Once you make it to this point, you're either going up or sticking around. Not much wiggle room at the top, since Cup is pretty well established over the last couple of years. That doesn't mean that these drivers, it means everything. Just staying in this part of the league, it's one step closer to that Cup career that they've all been dreaming about. And maybe the time ain't 2026 for some of these drivers, but they'll still have a shot. And rolling into 2026, you'll be fighting for a championship that will guarantee you a Cup seat. Oh, and Finley gets into the wall there, losing his head-to-head matchup spot against the 84. Crowther gets back in front of him. This is going to be a gritty battle all night long for those involved in the head-to-head matchups. Cooper Dwight up to third now. Really are picking up where we left off last night. Jimmy Logano already led 8 laps here tonight for a grand total of 30 laps led. But that 40, keeping it interesting here. Alex Sanvital needs to beat Jimmy Logano. And so that is where this gets very interesting. Jimmy Logano beating him right now. And that's kind of picking up where we left off last night, how I was talking that it can't get any more intense than this. You know, if we had script writers writing out the races, this would have been the script that got the cut. How close could you get for having a battle this tight at the front of the field between two drivers that need it? Jimmy Logano, with a 3-0 head-to-head record, is already locked into the finale this year. However, Alex Sanvital 0-2. If Sanvital loses tonight to Jimmy Logano, he will be instantly knocked out of contention for the championship. So, yeah, there's a lot on the line here. Hence the reason when the rains rolled in, we needed to get this race back going because stakes are high. Saw some dirt in front of the field. I'm waiting to see the transition at the lead here. If the 40 gets around the 28, looks like Sanvital takes the lead here from Jimmy Logano with a good push there from Carson Bowers. So I don't know if perhaps the 6 of Roach got spun out. Well, there's someone went for a pass in the grass. That ain't unusual here at Charlotte. This is the home of the pass in the grass back in the day with Dale Earnhardt Sr. Oh, there we go. Sure enough, pass in the grass executed. The 21 gets run in. Ryan Little fighting for the head-to-head matchups here tonight. On the exit of turn 4, he was behind the 51. But down the front stretch on the tri-oval there, he gets right around the 51 through the grass. So pretty neat when you've got a moment like that replicated in the game here. We give it up to the 40 of Alex Sanvital, the new leader of this race. Jimmy Logano getting back around Carson Bowers here. Bowers needs to beat the 48 of Luis Rodriguez, and he would be locked in to the championship finale. 48 of Rodriguez is outside the top 10 right now, so long way to go for Mr. Rodriguez. There's still a lot of racing here nonetheless. 15 laps in of today's 178 laps. Alan Malcolm making a move up to third here. Jimmy Logano kind of stuck on the high side, duking it out. Ooh, Jimmy getting all his work done in trying to hold on to fourth. Looks like about the top 16 there, breaking away from the remainder of the field. Big discrepancy from this front pack to the second pack. There we got Alan Malcolm making a move on Carson Bowers for second. Bowers holds on for now as they keep trying to test the air. You know, getting alongside might be easy. Finishing the pass is a lot harder here at Charlotte. The momentum on the high side, almost kind of like progressive banking, where some folks might have a faster car on the inside and they hold it on the high line, they can still rail around this track just as fast as the inside does. knowing at a racetrack like Charlotte, there's always that chance for a wild and crazy event to happen. Could be, you could possibly see championship implications level event happen here tonight. Seems like every time we have a Cup Series race here, half the fields end up getting wrecked out, but so far they're driving clean, keeping it on all four wheels here tonight. But there's always that chance that something could go awry. Home of the biggest wreck in Sigma racing history. We just had the Coke 600 here earlier in the year, and 32 cars were involved on lap 2 with our Cup drivers. So put that in perspective here tonight. Hopefully we don't see a big ass wreck like that, but you know, we only have a 32 car field here in Bridge to Cup. There we go, lap 22 in the books for tonight's extension of the race. Jimmy Logano had a good start, and it seems like the tires may be falling off a little bit here on this decent length green flag run. Holding his own there in fourth though, keeping it interesting. A lot of the usual suspects at the front of the field here. Carson Bowers, Alan Malcolm, Cooper Dwight. These are all drivers that have had multiple wins this year. When you're looking at the point standings, Carson Bowers with 7 wins on the year, Alan Malcolm with 2. And Cooper Dwight actually finally broke. Well, actually he didn't. He's still winless. I thought he'd won one of the races recently, but he's still without a win. So it's been a tough dry spell for Cooper Dwight. That's what it was. It was the last race we ran where he had dominantly led, but ultimately lost to his teammate, Carson Bowers. He did so well that I had it locked in my brain that he had won, even though he had failed to close out the deal last race here in Bridge to Cup. But that's what we call a sleeper, you know? Even with 0 wins on the season, he ain't going away. He's hanging around like a moth in a light fixture. And especially when his teammate is the winningest driver on the season at 7 wins, all it's going to take is that championship finale race. If the 12 of Carson Bowers makes a mistake, the 41 might be there to pounce. Could very well be one of those Jimmy Johnson, Jeff Gordon scenarios where the trainee is outperforming the mentor. You know, Jeff Gordon brought Jimmy Johnson into NASCAR, and Jeff Gordon only had about 4 championships, and Jimmy Johnson ended up with 7. So, but here we go. The mentor gets past the trainee as Cooper Dwight gets by Carson Bowers, and he's moving up to 2nd as well. Full head of steam out of that 41 car. Maybe the tires coming around here for the 41 after saving some a little bit early on. Jimmy Logano, though, dropping like a rock. He's almost outside the top 10 now. And there you got Luis Rodriguez moving up. As mentioned, he's going to have to beat the 12 of Carson Bowers, so that is no small feat here today. And what a welcome sign to see Wyatt Wilkinson up front here. Top 10 run on the night so far. Well, we're having ourselves a nice, good green flag run to start the race here tonight. 33 laps in. The lead is swapped hand once here from Jimmy Logano to Alex Sanvital. Jimmy Logano settling back in line there. It looks like in about 8th behind Luis Rodriguez. Sanvital is fighting for his life here tonight because one more loss in the head-to-head category will sink him from contention. So doing what he must in leading the race here tonight. Alan Malcolm playing on house money. He doesn't have to worry about beating Rich Roy, but you can also play that two ways. The advantage of beating Rich Roy tonight could mean eliminating him from contention at the championship finale where he could be a threat. So the incentive is out there for these drivers to not lay up. I mean, yeah, you might be locked in the championship finale, but every race you still end up contributing to how the landscape is structured for that finale. And unfortunately for Rich Roy, having a rough one at Charlotte here tonight. He's nowhere in the top 10. He's not even in the top 15. Rich Roy, the deeper we dive into the field, he's running 23rd right now. The worst of our top 16 is him and the 07 of Burridge right behind him. Now then Eli Wolf in the 8 is also pretty deep in the field. Eli the Wolf has to beat Trevor Vaden here today. The 18 of Vaden is running up in 16th, so Vaden in a do-or-die territory with an 0-2 record at the moment. Needs that head-to-head win here to stay alive. Well, since recovering from the rain delay last night, it feels like these drivers are getting a feel for their tires, getting a feel for what the setups can throw at the track. You gotta imagine the track's a little bit green here, so some of the drivers that maybe had the setup last night maybe struggling a little bit here as they get figured out on what the track's got. We'll be heading towards our first round of pit stops, probably by about lap, I want to say 50. 50 to 60 at least. And that's where the race can be won or lost, I feel. Race distance has been kind of altered a little bit because of that rain delay last night. So it definitely changes up the game plan for all the drivers involved. A lot of teammates lined up with each other right now. You've got 41 and 12 teammates, 3rd and 4th. Then you've got 5th and 6th teammates, the 48 of Luis Rodriguez and the 50 of Tim Cording. '16 of Wyatt Wilkinson in 7th at the moment, right in front of Jimmy Logano. Finley Herwig holding on in 13th. He's still got to beat the 84 car in front of him here. Finley would not be eliminated with another head-to-head loss, but he'll be one step closer to elimination if he gets that second head-to-head loss tonight. While at the same time, if he beats the 84, he will be 2-1, meaning he's only got to win one more head-to-head matchup with 2 races left before the championship finale. guarantee you right now he's content with hanging on in 13th place here with his rival just in the space right ahead of him. So there's no reason to push the envelope. Don't try to overdrive it and ruin the car. Just let the race come to you. And that's exactly what Finley's working on right here. That JSR Hyundai looking to be a contender for a championship this year. Alex Crowther has been an interesting newcomer this year with 5 wins on the season, taken over from Atlee Weiss, who had departed the series to focus on bigger and better things. Kind of left the car as is, and even Atlee Weiss was winning it in the 84 last year. I think he got pretty much the perfect setup for that car, and it just meshed well with Alex Crowther as soon as he jumped in. And picking up where the team left off last year, fighting for a championship once again. This 84 is going to become a kind of a staple in the Xfinity. Well, our Bridge to Cup, it's the equivalent of Xfinity. I kind of slipped up there. But yeah, our Bridge to Cup series, he's going to be one of those. And if he graduates, then that'll be some big shoes to fill, whoever is able to hop into the 84 going onward. Jimmy Logano is going to have Joey Johnson join the Bridge to Cup ladder next year. And this 28 seat, still kind of a debate on who's going to end up jumping in. We're working behind the scenes, but Jimmy Logano making the move full-time to Sigma Cup next year, regardless of his results from Bridge to Cup. Very few drivers get that opportunity, and he's going to be one of those high-class drivers with almost instant eligibility to move up to Cup as soon as possible. And it'll be interesting to see what he can do next year in the Cup side of things. This season still not over. He could be fighting for that championship at the end of the season here next month. Well, we're going to be getting close to green flag pit stops here if things continue to stay green. We are 50 laps in since the restart tonight. That means 128 laps left to go. Our lap leaders look a little bit something like this. As of right now, Alex Sanvital has led 39 laps. The only other driver to lead any laps tonight is Jimmy Logano with 10. And if you add on to that, Jimmy Logano has a grand total of 32 laps led, with last night's addition to that lap counter. These drivers never pitted during the, they pretty much returned to the pits, put the tarps over the cars, and saved them for today. So no one took any competitive pit stops. They kept track position on lap 22. Didn't see the merit in making any changes to the cars. So with that obviously means that these drivers are getting towards the end of the good on those tires. The Bridgestone tires are howling at them right now. Interesting how it's 3 by 3, then by 2 behind that. Kind of interesting groupings going on right now. Here goes Cooper Dwight to try and take the lead away from Allen, or not the lead, second place. Man, I'm getting ahead of myself. Trying to take second away from Alan Malcolm here. Still got a little bit of work to do to catch the leader of Alex Sanvital. Drag racing down the backstretch. The entrance at turn 3, the 41 is ahead by a hair. The 19 is going to use that outside line to rail around him and keep second place away from the 41 of Dwight. That might very well open up the door for Carson Bowers to start closing in. Looks like Jimmy Logano made it around Wyatt Wilkinson, getting him up a spot into 7th. Whoa, Carson Bowers made contact with his team owner there. That might be a touchy subject after the race if those two were to take each other out. I'm impressed. Everyone's been steering clear of wrecking. No chaos here tonight so far. 55 laps in, 122 laps to go. And for those of you tuned in, we'll be part of a doubleheader here tonight. After this race, we'll roll right into the ARCA race from Kansas. We are rolling through the Soda Pop 300 in a pretty rapid fashion here. 56, we're pretty much about a third of the way through tonight's event. Now's where we're really going to have to be keeping an eye out for those that are going to be coming down pit road for green flag pit stops, since it doesn't seem like a caution is going to come out here. Big gains and big losses can be made depending on when we see them come down pit road. Cooper Dwight trying to do the move on Malcolm again here, but Malcolm keeping that 19 just far enough away from the 41. Fastest lap in the race does belong to second place there, Alan Malcolm. This 19 car ended up winning the Bridge to Cup Championship last year with Bradley Ream. Man, what a wild, crazy storyline that would be if the 19 were to run the gauntlet again here in 2025. Different driver, obviously, since when you win Bridge to Cup, you get that graduation into Cup on a charter deal. And so whoever wins it again will vacate that number. So a great heritage on the 19. Just like that 84 we were talking about earlier that's been to victory lane a lot. It's about filling those big shoes that sometimes gets daunting. But Malcolm seems to have been up for the challenge this year, rolling into the championship with the defending team, winning it. You know, you got the pit crew, you've got the strategists, you've got, you know, all the parts and pieces from that championship winning team. The only thing that swapped is the driver at hand. And Malcolm has had a 2-race win season, 14 top 5s, 18 top 10s, and he's had 5 pole position starts. There we go. We got some people coming down pit road now on lap 62. Malcolm, is he credited with lead lap? No, he was not. The 40 decided to pit there, and that gave Cooper Dwight the lead. Alan Malcolm saw the blood in the water and decided he could try to get around the 41 here, and the 41 gets right back around. Will he stay out and be able to get a lead lap is the big question. That is, you know, points worthy, but points aren't really a matter anymore with the head-to-head matchups and the ultimate championship finale coming down to a winner-take-all. A lot of these drivers staying out long here. 63 laps. Can't really cut it in the middle here tonight, no matter what way you shake it. So 64, it's going to put you to about lap 128. which would, yeah, you'd have one final run here today of 50 laps. There's some debris on the track there. I don't know who made contact with who. Let's go back and see where that debris gets. Oh, there's a couple cars that hit the wall. Look like the 27 and the 29. That's where the debris gets shaken up on the track there. Well, after the pit stops, looks like it's gonna round up back with our leader, the 40 of Alex Sanvital, by a mile, nearly. Carson Bowers in second, Cooper Dwight in third, and up to fourth, maybe third, Luis Rodriguez. Wow, what a climb for Mr. Rodriguez as he's up into the top 5 now. Yep, Sanvital gets the most of the pit stops and gains a large advantage over second place, Carson Bowers. Third place, Luis Rodriguez made some big gains, jumping up from top 10 to top 5. Cooper Dwight holds on to fourth and maybe getting around the 48 for third. Fifth place, Alan Malcolm. Sixth place, Tim Cording. Seventh place, Jimmy Logano. Eighth place, Alex Crowther. Ninth, Skylar Taylor. 10th, Wyatt Wilkinson. A few of these other drivers maybe lost some more ground during pit stops there if they got stuck behind some lap traffic without having the cameras rolling on the whole pit stops. Hard to tell how they lost so much time, but there's plenty of racing for them to still get it back, especially if we get some cautions somewhere mixed in that things get bunched back up. Everything's been running so clean here tonight. It's almost a sign that something's going to go wrong eventually. But these Bridge to Cup stars never cease to amaze me. They'll figure out a way to run a race caution-free and blow you away. Definitely a step above the ARCA series where it's almost a given you're going to have a handful of cautions in one of those ARCA races. These guys, they put on a show. And that's not taking a jab at ARCA by any means. I'm just saying, as the ladder, you know, climbing that ladder, you're going to have the rookies in ARCA obviously making more mistakes than these Bridge to Cup guys that are right on the cusp of Cup stardom. Heck, we've got an ARCA driver on a couple occasions here running Bridge to Cup this year. Jonah Burridge, who's in the mix for the championship, as well as Finley Herwig, both of which are ARCA standouts at the moment, but because of their success in ARCA have been given some extra opportunities to fight for races here in Bridge to Cup. Finley's in a very unique situation where he could potentially have a shot at the championship in both ARCA and Bridge to Cup this year, as long as he continues his tear that he's been on. A little bit of luck, he can possibly be fighting for a championship the same week for two different series. But at the moment, no one has anything for Alex Sanvital, who has been dominantly running away with it at the moment. Oh, we've got a blown up car, the 38 of Jamie Horseman. He's putting oil down. Blown engine. Oil down on track means we're going to get a caution and a restart here tonight. First caution of the evening. As one should, the 38 pulls the apron to try and minimize the amount of oil down on the racing surface. But this is definitely that caution that a few drivers needed to get things stacked back up. With 103 laps to go, pit stops now are not going to fix. You're not going to be able to make it with just one more pit stop here tonight. This is a kind of a gamble move for those that do decide to pit. It looks like the entire field's pretty much going to pit, but they're going to have to pit again at least one more time tonight before the end of this race. 40 of San Vital comes in with the lead. We'll keep the camera rolling on the pit lane here to see if he continues to hold that lead. Looks like he's going to maintain the lead off pit road. Second is going to be Carson Bowers. Third, Luis Rodriguez. Fourth, Tim Cording. Fifth, Skylar Taylor. Sixth, Jimmy Logano. And the rest of them as they continue to roll off here. Well, with 100 laps left to go here, going to get doubled up for our first restart of the night. Lights are still on the pace car, so it'll be another lap here under caution. But in the meanwhile, we'll do a quick through the field here on the restart. The 40 of Alex Sanvital leads over the 12 of Carson Bowers. Luis Rodriguez has made some moves. He's sitting in third over his team owner, Tim Cording. And then fifth place is Skylar Taylor. She's looking to have a good week here. Had a decent run in the trucks the other night and trying to get back-to-back good races with Bridge to Cup the next night. Jimmy Logano looking to resurge from his early start. Maybe getting the adjustments made to make that car move back through the field. Cooper Dwight, Wyatt Wilkinson, Trevor Vaden, and then it's Alex Crowther, Ryan Little, Krista Cower, Matthew Hubert, Spinham Walker, Kyler Sestre, Alan Malcolm, Gannon Bird. Andrew Moger, followed by the 35 of Kat Durham. 68 of Finley Herwig, going to start deep in the field here, 20th on the restart. Anheuser Wagner, Jack Davis, Jonah Burridge, Eli the Wolf, Roach, Jason So, Cannon Gage. Zach Magoon, Noah Hobson, Rich Roy, and Adam Starr. Everything's always a little bit bigger and better around Charlotte, and tonight I think we're going to get treated to a spectacular finish. I can feel it in the air, folks. Something about this race, it's going to be extravagant. And we're back and rolling here on lap 79. 99 laps left to go here in the Soda Pop 300. Alex Sanvital gets off to the early lead here on the restart, and that's going to bring Luis Rodriguez to the front, fighting for the lead. Carson Bowers gets stuck up high. That's going to be problematic, as getting stuck up high with the inside line roaring is going to drop you backwards here. Oh, Jimmy Logano using that high line to his advantage, though. Make me eat crow with my statement that you're going to drop backwards. It looks like he's in the middle of 3 wide, though. It's going to put him nearly into the wall. That inside line is the advantage. But right now, he's in a 3 wide sandwich that he does not want to be in. Jimmy Logano thinks better of it and drops behind the 45 at the moment. His advantage kind of depleted there as he was trying to make some moves, get around folks. But when you get 3 wide at Charlotte, it's kind of hard to make that pass on the high side. Oh, and Jimmy Logano got up into the wall. Not totally the end all of everything, but that's getting rough there in the mid pack as he's trying to find a little bit of speed out of the 28 that must be struggling. Sanvital continues the lead. Tim Cording now trying to get up to second. So we had our first caution of the race for a mechanical failure. That was a camshaft failure for Jamie Horseman. They're reporting on pit road. Oil down on track was able to get cleaned up pretty quickly here. We were back and rolling in no time. Ooh, the 48 of Luis Rodriguez pegged the wall hard there. That's going to allow Wyatt Wilkinson to start moving up into the top 5. Wilkinson seeking his first ever win in Bridge to Cup competition. Multi-winner in the ARCA series last year, the defending ARCA champion. Got the call up here to Bridge to Cup, and hasn't been as stellar of a season as he had hoped for, but definitely a season full of lessons learned for the 16. Young rookie, still trying to get his footing out there. What's probably been hard for Wyatt Wilkinson is splitting the double duty between Cup and Bridge to Cup, as he's had a part-time schedule on the Cup side of things. And with his Cup program, he's going to have a chance to earn a full-time team if he's able to win the Project Roar program. And I can understand why you would probably put more resources into that Cup, the Cup side of things, so that you can try to earn that Project Roar title and win that Cup team for yourself. Goes with that, obviously it's kind of fell by the wayside here in Bridge to Cup. If he continues to run like he is in the Cup side right now, he will be a team owner next year. Or, however he decides to use it, might just earn another charter for LFG Motorsports. Knowing him, he's faithful to the team that brought him here, and I can only imagine that he would stick true to LFG colors. So a lot still can pan out. Obviously, Project Roar's up in the air between him and Trevor Vaden. What was a three-person battle between him, Vaden, and Willow deteriorated after Willow's departure from Sigma Racing competition. That, folks, is why we call it the silly season, because there's a lot of pieces in place, but none have really fallen into the mold yet. And it's kind of fun to speculate on what will come for 2026 as we start to see who our champions are this year, what's going to come out of the woodworks. Should be exciting. We're officially halfway through the running here tonight. 89 laps down, 89 laps to go. Things are really starting to set up for a good old-fashioned barn burner here tonight at Charlotte. So with our one mechanical failure here tonight, that was not a title contender. Jamie Horseman not in the mix for a championship, so no drama in that department. As all 16 of our title contenders are still out there running. 8 of which are winning their head-to-head matchup, and 8 of which are losing their head-to-head matchup. Wilkinson was thinking about making it 3 wide there with Dwight and Cording, but thought better of it. In the meanwhile, you got the 48 of Luis Rodriguez making a move around the 16 to get up to 5th. Luis Rodriguez still needs to get up there and beat the 12 car if he wants to win his head-to-head matchup here tonight. Ooh, Wilkinson got into the wall there. That was a little rough. Here comes Trevor Vaden moving up through the field too. Vaden might be safe in winning his head-to-head matchup over Eli the Wolf. Carson Bowers making a move for second here. Is he going to be able to make it stick through the turns? 12 with a full head of steam on the outside, though, keeps the position away from the boss man. As we've got a lot of established single file running from the front to back. Seems like the caution didn't help a whole lot with the race pace from some of these cars. Still seems like the 40 of Sam Vital is on a class of his own here tonight. Tim Cording looking down low on the backstretch. Is he going to try to make the move on Dwight? Dwight keeps toying with his teammate there to try and get him off guard, but the 12 holding off the 41 each and every attack. Oh no, the 41's dropping. Oh, we have another car failure. That was the 27. Flat tire from the 27 of Adam Starr. That caught the 41 off guard. He saw the car on the apron, and he slowed up. Seems like Sigma officials are letting it stay green here. Kind of a secluded issue from the 27. Flat tire. Pretty easy to clean up without having to throw a caution here. Cooper Dwight bounces back even though he slowed up there. Lost a little bit of momentum, but he's back on the drive. Alex Sanvital starting to stink up the show here, as not anyone else really able to hold a candle to that 40 car yet. Here goes Carson Bowers thinking about taking the lead. It wouldn't be much of a shocker if we saw that 12 car take the lead here tonight, fighting for his 8th win on the season. Oh, they're slicing and dicing now. Almost a love bump there out of the team owner. Let him know he's there. Oh, now Tim Cording on the move. The 41 gets stuck up high. The two teammates drafting together. The Cadillac Power trying to move through the 41. But even then, you try to make a move, and it seems like the aero package on these cars just drag them back away. You know, the ebb and flow. 27 rejoining the racetrack after getting the flat tire fixed. That's a precarious position to come back out on track. No one made any contact, so no. Ooh, the 84 hit the wall hard there. That's Alex Crowther. And as I mentioned earlier, Crowther, his head-to-head matchup is Finley Herwig here tonight. That might be a blessing in disguise for Finley Herwig if that 84 ended up getting the car damaged when it hit the wall. He ends up dropping a spot behind Jimmy Logano. It looks like he's trying to rebound here. Finley, on the other hand, not running so hot. He's all the way back to 21st at the moment since this restart. So a bit of a rough patch for the 68 of Finley. As previously mentioned, he wouldn't be eliminated, but it would make the next two races a must-win in the head-to-head bracket for him to stay alive. Oh, whoa, whoa, 3 wide with the two teammates and Tim Cording. Man, Bowers got slammed into the wall there. Let us go back one lap on that play. That was a wild turn of events. The 50 makes a little bit of contact with the 41, and the 41 makes a little bit of contact with the 12. And they stick it 3 wide all the way through turn 1 and 2. Carson Bowers loses the most on that ordeal. But what is the big move here is that 48 of Luis Rodriguez gets by his head-to-head matchup. Carson Bowers in a must-win scenario for Luis Rodriguez to move on to the championship finale. He would be 3-0 after tonight. Carson Bowers would drop to 2-2. Bowers had the one mulligan for being the regular season champion, but you can't really rest easy until you get that third head-to-head win. It's definitely risky business for these drivers trying to make it to the championship. So just like that, head-to-head matchups change up a little bit here. You almost got to wonder how hard Carson Bowers is going to push it tonight. I mean, your golden ticket is now sitting right in front of you instead of behind you. So the 48, he's going to have to get around him to lock himself into a championship finale. How hard does he push it? Or is he comfortable with letting it stretch out another week? They get side by side for 4th place here. The 48's going to drive back around the outside. But the gloves are off. These two are going to be throwing haymakers all night to try and keep the momentum in their corner. The only thing you don't want to see if you're one of the 2 team cars there is ending up in a wreck where you can't finish fighting for yourself by the end of the night. Some point we had the fastest lap of the race at a 27.002 with Cooper Dwight. Dwight sitting in 2nd, about to drop to 3rd here if Tim Cording can get around him. '27's a lap down and working with the lead traffic here. This could be some very interesting spoiler strategies going out here. That 27 not really racing for anyone but himself. But the other teams around him may see the advantages that 27 serves, putting a block or a spot between one and the other. Just like that, the 48's probably glad that the 27's there, keeping the 12 at a distance. But the 12 not wasting any time getting around the lap traffic of Adam Starr. .62 laps to go now. That would put anyone that's able to pit right now to make it all the way to the finish without any green flag, green white checkered attempts. Here we go, maybe a change at the lead. 41 trying to drive it in deep. 40 of San Vital continues to hold the lead, but it's going to be a drag race down the backstretch. And Tim Cording helping draft with the 41 gets Cooper Dwight up to the lead here. Dwight not able to close the door as that 40 uses the outside line to drag race him back down the front stretch. But the advantage to the 41 having that inside line is going to pay off here shortly. Just like that, the 40 gets high, almost into the wall, and you have a new leader for the 3rd time tonight. Cooper Dwight takes the front of the field for the first time. Now the 40 simply needs to stay in front of the 28 of Jimmy Logano to stay alive in the championship mix. Jimmy Logano down but not out. He's starting to close back up to this lead group. Maybe Chad put in a long run strategy for that 28 car, as it looks like he's starting to close the gap, and Slinky is starting to compress back together here. Now, if you're Jimmy Logano in this situation, you know, you might not need to win tonight since you're already locked into the championship finale. But that added incentive to go out there and beat the head-to-head driver that you're racing against, and it would eliminate the 40 from championship contention. So we'll see how hard Jimmy Logano races that 40, knowing that it would eliminate one of his contenders from fighting for the championship. Just like that, after losing the lead, Alex Sanvital is fallen way off the map from the 41 of Cooper Dwight. Dwight starting to drive away with it here. Who else is going to be able to get by the 40 of Sanvital? 55 laps remain here in the race. Still a lot of racing to pan out here. .45 gets way high and into the wall. That's going to give Jimmy Logano another spot here. We'll keep our eyes on this group as they're starting to move up. Jimmy Logano was running in about 10th. He's going to be up to 7th here for a little bit. That 84 looking stout on the inside line. Is he going to be able to close the door? Not quite this time. Jimmy Logano having to run the high line through turns 1 and 2. And there we go. He's going to be able to close the door on the 84. Now up to 7th with the 81 of Matthew Hubert right in front of him. And then he'll get back into top 5 contention here shortly if he can run him down. There we have the lap car getting his lap back here tonight. He is 6 laps down, so pretty extensively off the lead lap, but he's got one of them back under his own power, going from 6 laps down to 5 laps down. Now this is a strategy these leaders can use, that 27 kind of as a draft block to try and save some fuel. Let the 27 get out front, let them eat the clean air, but at the same time you can follow in the draft and lift off the throttle so you're not burning as much gas. Definitely a sound strategy, very much a legal strategy. Anything that these drivers can do to get an edge to win, they will find it. Well, as I was talking about Jimmy Logano starting to close the gap, it seems like the gap's starting to stretch out again a little bit here. Let me pause and record for what we've got here, meaning this race is official depending on whatever does transpire. We will have video recording of this segment of the race past halfway. But there's no reason we should have to fall back on that, as we should be able to get the final 50 laps in here drama-free. Now is where the teams are going to start looking towards strategy calls. Undercut is going to be where it's at. If someone comes down pit road first, and they get back out on fresh tires, turning quick laps before anyone else, that's where the win may be. And just like that, the 41, as I was mentioning it, I brought it into existence. Your leader, Cooper Dwight, taking the undercut to perfection. He is the first one to come down pit road of our lead group. The only downside is this puts you in the danger zone. If we were to get a caution right now, you would lose a lot of track position. Also risk going a lap down, having to rely on the wave around and whatever else may transpire. But with the way this race has been going, as long as things stay green, should be rolling back out there with the lead as soon as he can. Not sure about the other drivers staying out a couple laps past that. You're really going to want to make sure to pit next as soon as possible. And they're still continuing to stay out. So that too is an interesting strategy. The longer you stay out, the less time you got to spend on pit road. If you just take a quick gas and go, things will get wild here. But if this race stays green, it should pretty well wrap around to Cooper Dwight being your leader again without a caution. There's absolutely no way that anyone can stretch it to the finish here without one more pit stop. I'm liking this call from Jimmy Logano, the second of our lead group to finally come down pit road. He gave the advantage to Cooper Dwight on a couple laps there, but we'll see if he can use these fresh tires for a little bit longer duration to try and catch up to the 41 of Cooper Dwight. Still far and few between the next group of pit stops. Looks like a secondary group outside the top 20 pitting now. Jimmy Logano taking a little bit longer on pit road, maybe to get some repairs done on damage. It looked like he had a little bit of side damage when he made it onto pit road there. He's given that 41 a pretty lengthy gap. And the whole rest of the field come down pit road here on lap 136. Trying to find where Cooper Dwight shook out here. Cooper Dwight might have a huge advantage over our leaders. Wow, Cooper Dwight is way out front. Pulling that undercut to perfection. He's going to have a sizable gap over the entire field here now. There comes the 40 of Alex Sanvital, and he's driving away from him as well. Brand new second place driver, Matthew Hubert, somehow was able to get the undercut with the leader, Cooper Dwight, and bounce up to second here, fighting for a potential shot at a win tonight. Yeah, I do think Jimmy Logano had to stay on pit road for a little bit of extended repairs, it seems like, because he's dropped way outside of contention. Don't know where he ended up picking that damage up. You can see right there on the side of the car some damage on the 28. Kind of hard to tell where the damage. Yeah, it's damaged there on lap 125, so. Yet again, drivers winning and losing this race on pit road, it seems like. We still haven't seen the end of this for most of the race. The head-to-head matchups are getting heated here as the 84 and the 68 are back right alongside each other. Finley's going to need a little bit more oomph to get around the 84, though, as he's now losing a spot to the 17 of Jack Davis. Andrew Moger, out of nowhere, now running in 11th. And he's going to have to hope for some bad luck as his head-to-head rival, the 50 of Tim Cording, out in the top 4. Krista Cower is up against Cooper Dwight. And man, of all things, it comes down to another 1-2 with our head-to-head matchups. Cooper Dwight leads right now over his head-to-head rival, Krista Cower. Krista Cower loses here tonight. She's eliminated completely. While on the flip side, Cooper Dwight would get locked into the championship finale. A lot can happen here still with 36 laps left to go. If we get another caution, doubled up restarts could get wild here at Charlotte. I'm impressed seeing Matthew Hubert fighting for a win here tonight. That is a unusual candidate to see in the top 3. Carson Bowers is beating Luis Rodriguez right now by a couple spots. Trevor Vaden is outperforming Eli the Wolf at the moment. Andrew Moger losing to Tim Cording. This might be the closest battle we've got right here for a head-to-head matchup in the mid-pack between the 84 of Alex Crowther and the 68 of Finley Herwig. Yep, tonight's race definitely comes down to a game of strategy by the end of it here. You're starting to see the drivers that are just kind of holding on for dear life with the calls they've made. Some mistakes were made on calls here tonight, but 17 clipped the wall there. That might give the 68 that position finally. 68 of Finley on the move, gets around the 17. Seems like everyone kind of getting into that wall. Almost like a Darlington stripe at Charlotte. Rich Roy fighting for position there. His head-to-head matchup is the 19 of Alan Malcolm, who has faltered here tonight. He's fallen all the way back to 22nd. So Rich Roy, with a third win, would lock himself into the championship finale here tonight, as he continues to hold the position over the 19 of Alan Malcolm with just 30 laps left to go. We're going to have to jump up to the front and see if there's a battle for the lead brewing. Krista Cower giving the 41 a run for his money. And this is such a reminiscent run out of that 98. It seems like whenever we do these head-to-head matchups, she finds a little bit extra in the tank and figures out a way to win these races. Last year, she ended up winning 2 of the 5 head-to-head races, but lost the other 3 head-to-head matchups. Those 2 races that she won the race heads up. I mean, it didn't even matter who she was racing against. She beat the entire field. Well, with the deck stacked against her once again, she's got to find that extra. And she's finding that extra tonight as she's going to try to go around Cooper Dwight. You know, a car that hasn't even been winning races, hasn't been in a caliber to be championship worthy. But here we have Krista Cower fighting for the win here tonight. Her season looks a little bit like this. 0 wins, 7 top 5s, 11 top 10s, 3 DNFs. But for whatever reason, when it comes to August Agro, head-to-head matchups, she just pours it on a little heavier. You cannot write this storyline any better, folks. The game decides to write it for me. I wish I could take honorary credit for it, but we are just witnessing history as it unrolls here in the Sigma Racing Series. Lap traffic is going to factor in here a little bit. The 21 of Ryan Little on the tail end of the field. Cooper Dwight still holding the position over Krista Cower. And now Matthew Hubert knocking on the door, trying to take second away. Meanwhile, let's jump back here and see how the rest of our contenders are doing. Andrew Moger running in 12th. Alex Crowther 11th. Here comes Jack Davis, Jimmy Logano, and Finley Herwig trying to move through the field. These drivers staying very close to each other, not letting each other drive away with it. Moger's going to push the 84 up high here. Is that going to give the other drivers an opening? 17 looks low on the 74. Yeah, strategy calls have definitely been the big game changer here tonight. This battle up front is not faltering, as we might even have 3 more cars join the fight for the win here. Could be a top 6 battle amongst some of the big hitters here in Bridge to Cup racing. We continue to stay green with just 21 laps left to go now. Can Cooper Dwight get the monkey off his back and finally win here in 2025? In a very pivotal moment of the season where the race wins matter even more. What about Carson Bowers? Could he potentially come back through the field and steal an 8th win on the season, further cementing his legacy in this championship battle that's not going to go away anytime soon? It's starting to look like Luis Rodriguez might be out of the mix here tonight, as Carson Bowers may very well get his head-to-head win on the 48. Cooper Dwight making his way through the lap traffic now. That's actually stretching out the lead a little bit as the 98 struggling. 41 though side by side, losing some momentum here. The 98 using the draft to her advantage. Here she comes right up on the back bumper of the 21. And now you've got a 4-dog fight at the front of the field. Lap traffic has slowed down the 41 significantly here in his venture to steal the win. Here comes the 81. 81 looking on the inside of the 98. He's still not able to get around the lap traffic. This is slowing him up significantly. These guys could all wreck each other any moment. The way they're racing, they're laying it all out there on the line. This is kind of the calm before the storm. Actually, the storm is already a brewing. The last 30 laps before this was the calm. Now we're really getting into it. Lightning and thunder, bumping and banging. 16 laps to go. Who's going to get the win? Keep bouncing back to see how things are going here. Looks like Finley's still struggling to get around the traffic he's working with here. 84 is keeping him at bay. But even a loss here for Finley is not going to be elimination. Next couple races, we'll still have to wait and see what the head-to-head matchups look like. He could get 2 duds of head-to-head matchups that are almost a guaranteed win. So that's the great joy of these head-to-head matchups. Sometimes you get lucky, sometimes you don't. And as the final races of the season, you're going to have Mars Speedway next and Lakewood. Lakewood's a 1-mile dirt track that can really get wild and crazy for these Bridge to Cup drivers. And they're working through the 35 lap traffic. And it's time to bounce back up to the lead as we get to the end of the race here. 41 still having to work his way through the lap traffic. The 24 of Kyler Sustre holding him up here a little bit. You just got to love the fact that the head-to-head matchup is between first and second on track right now. Krista Cower is in a must-win scenario. Carson Bowers, Cooper Dwight rather, can afford to lose a head-to-head matchup here tonight, but it's definitely going to put him behind the 8 ball. We're about to where you can count down the last laps on 2 hands here tonight. 11 laps left to go. Next time by, it'll be 10. Yeah, Krista Cower's getting stuck up high. This may sink her chances at winning the race tonight as she's falling backwards here. The 40 of Alex Sanvital looks like he's going to win his head-to-head matchup tonight against Jimmy Logano. And looking to maybe even steal the win back. He's led so many laps here tonight, and he's fallen short here in the final laps. But he's right there alongside the 41 of Cooper Dwight. He's going to roar through the turn here. Cooper Dwight's going to use that outside line to his advantage. And now we've got a race on our hands with just 9 laps left to go, folks. For those of you that are trying to keep an eye on the others that are involved, just keep an eye on the ticker. We're going to keep our cameras rolling at the front of the field here. I feel like the lead's going to swap hands here before long. Alex Sanvital wants to go out with a bang here tonight and try to get the win. Cooper Dwight still having troubles getting around the 24, the lap traffic in front of him here. Krista Cower, since losing second place, has dropped all the way back to 5th. And she's struggling to find the pace that she once had. 8 laps to go. We could still see a caution that really shakes things up here tonight. But Cooper Dwight playing the big defense card, trying to hold off the 40, hold off the 50, hold off his teammate in the 12. All of which are looking to get a win here tonight. Tim Cording, it would be his third win. Alex Sanvital, it would be their first. Cooper Dwight, it'd be his first. And who wants it worse? Between the two that are looking for their first win this season, Cooper Dwight holds off on that lap. But Alex Sanvital's got the speed. Now the 12 could be a teammate here and help out the boss man. But it doesn't look like he's playing by those rules, as he's actually giving the 40 a good push to the lead. 40, Sanvital is going to lead on lap 173 here. Handful of laps left. The 40 of Sanvital bounces to the lead, regaining what he once had. Cooper Dwight may just come up short once again. Dollar late, a dime short. 41 falls back to fourth. We're staying green. We're down to 4 laps to go. Is Cooper Dwight going to get snookered again here tonight? He's under attack by the 98. That's going to be for a head-to-head matchup there. If the 41 can hold that position over the 98. Once you get, knocked out of the boiler, you get thrown into the lava. It doesn't get any easier with every move made here tonight. Oh, the 12 just gave the 40 a bump there. I'm surprised the car kind of cut through the bumper of the 40. That was, you couldn't get any closer. He actually morphed through the 40 car there. 2 laps to go. And man, I don't know if Sanvital is going to have enough to hold off the 12 car here. Carson Bowers is really on a whole different level this year. Here we go. Bowers makes a drive in, gets side by side with the 40. But as we've seen so many times tonight, that outside line prevails on the corners. 2 laps to go now. The 40 continues to hold the lead. Carson Bowers keeps giving it a valiant push here. Lap traffic still playing spoiler a little bit, keeping things interesting. Bowers is going to have one more shot at it. As the white flag waves, we're not going to see a caution here tonight. The race is official no matter what. Bowers is going to try to bulldoze his way through the 40. Is the 40 going to have enough to defend? One more shot coming down for the last half of the track. The 40 has a sizable lead now. The 12 losing that gap. He's going to have to make it happen off of turn 4, but I don't think there's anything left in the tank. The 40, Alex Sanvital, shocks the field here tonight, winning the race, leading the most laps, but coming back from pit strategy that had knocked him out of the winning position. Coming home in second, it is Carson Bowers. Third, Tim Cording. Fourth, Carson Bowers. Team owner, Cooper Dwight. Dwight is locked into the championship finale with his head-to-head matchup win over the 98 of Krista Cower. Cower is officially eliminated from championship contention. Solid 6th place for Matthew Hubert. That's a huge day for that 81 team. Luis Rodriguez comes home 7th, and Rodriguez unfortunately lost out to Carson Bowers here tonight. Bowers himself is also officially locked into the championship finale. Finley ended up losing to Crowther, so Finley has to go on another week. Crowther continues to win his head-to-head matchups. He's 4-0. Alan Malcolm lost here tonight to his head-to-head matchup of Rich Roy, which is crazy because that means Rich Roy is also officially locked into the championship finale. So we've already got about 7 eligible drivers to fight for the championship. But at the same time, we've already knocked out about 3 of them. So that still means there's 6 drivers that could go either which way, depending on how their last few head-to-head matchups go. Ultimately, thank you for everyone tuning in. This was an exciting race through and through. The rain delay did not slow us down. We got back right into the racing action and were treated to an amazing race here tonight. And of course, folks, we'll roll right into the ARCA race here. Just need a brief moment to get that all set up here. So just hold tight, folks, as I get the next race set up here. It'll take a minute. Congratulations yet again to the 40 of Alex Sanvital getting that first Bridge to Cup race win here in 2025, and getting interesting for those involved with the championship push. Sanvital must win their way out. They need to win the next 2 head-to-head matchups to stay eligible for that championship battle. But it's very possible. Not over until it's over. I'll have an update for all of the head-to-head matchups as soon as our stream is done here tonight, so we know who is officially locked in and who is officially knocked out. Has Well, I am hoping things are working here. I have 2 bars on my stream. Hopefully it's going to pick back up. I'm going to try to give you all the best with the lag here. I know it's lagging insane. I had to shut off my other computer to try and preserve some frame rate. You've got Mason Alexander III, who just got his first win last race at Idaho in, or actually, no, it was Langley that they just came from, not Idaho. Mason Alexander III got that win. Snake Plissken starting top 5. Aiden Sparks, Paul Valenzuela, Shy Turtle, Jeremiah Pate, Jimmy West, Campbell Marsh, and the rest of the field. Finley starting mid-pack here today, as well as Jonah Burridge. Those are your 2 title contenders, along with Ryan White. And there's at least one more driver. The name is escaping me at the moment. But that is your starting lineup today here from Kansas.
Gentlemen, start your engines!
As we get started here, that points battle I was trying to talk about. Let me pull up the ARCA point standings. We're looking at Ryan White with a 28-point lead over Santi Messi, a 29-point lead over Finley Herwig, and a 35-point lead over Jonah Burridge. Those are your 4 drivers in the fight here, looking to try and take the ARCA title. In the mix of this all, you got the 52 of Purpura, who joined the season late. His outlaw friend, the 60 of Tim Morse, and the 24 of Snake Plissken all joined late, but they have been on one hell of a tear right out of the gates. Shy Turtle up into the top 5. Already on lap 1. He's credited with 6th that lap. 7th actually, but man, from 9th to 6th in 1 lap, that's one hell of a run out of the gates there. Fast lap belongs to Astro Atlas with a 30.556. Mason Alexander III maybe trying to prove that last race was no fluke, trying to fight for a win here tonight at Kansas as well. But our primary goal is going to be on that points battle. And you've got the 45 of Jonah Burridge running mid-pack here. Already a caution in the race here tonight. Where is the wreck? Where is it happening? The 52 and the 53 come to the line nearly side by side. Let us find out what we're under caution for. Oh, wow, okay. Hip cam goes low, and wow, they come right back into the racing line. That actually takes out the fastest car in the race so far. The 48 of Astro Atlas was involved. Dang, that's just a weird, crazy way to wreck. Only in ARCA will you see wrecks like that. So it looks like the 62 of Derek Hipcam maybe gets loose here on the high side, clips the wall. But for whatever reason, the 9 and the 83 go below the apron, taking a very erratic racing line that ultimately collects about 8 cars there. I wonder if that was an evasive maneuver when he saw the 69 get into the wall. He goes way low, gets way low on the apron. Were we 5 wide at one point there? I'm sorry, folks. I'm going to keep replaying this. The 83 goes way low here. You've got, yeah, just barely 4 wide there at one moment as he was way at the bottom of the racetrack. But out of this race, I think, is a good group of those cars that were involved in the wreck. Retired is the 94 of, I want to see, that's Reese Landry. Yes, Reese Landry in the 94, the 83 of Stephen Miller, both out of the race now. Well, that is one way to start off an ARCA race. Very ARCA-esque wreck to start the night. So let's get back to that points battle that I was trying to highlight here. Obviously, the 45 of Jonah Burridge, he's the deepest in that points battle, 35 points out. He needs to best the 70 of Ryan White by a good margin here tonight. And he's already ahead of Ryan White by about 4 spots here. Ryan White, your points leader, holding that honorary position over the likes of Finley Herwig, who's a couple spots back there in 20th. And the 5 of Santi Messi, as I must have missed him, he's up in the top 10. There you go, Santi Messi, top 10. He's second in the points and could stand to gain a lot of ground on Ryan White, where he's running at the moment. Alrighty, here we go for the restart here tonight. And off to the lead, it is Mason Alexander III, fresh off his win last race at Langley, looking to try and maybe go 2 for 2. As he starts to stretch it out on the Outlaw Gang. Man, they have been a hard team to beat, and he's up front leading laps on the likes of Tim Morse, Philip Purpura, and Snake Plissken. That is a muscle move out of the 53 camp. Up into the top 5, you've got Aiden Sparks with a solid run here tonight so far. The Outlaw Gang running 2nd, 3rd, and 4th. Our championship contenders. Here we have the 70. Ryan White getting stuck up high. He's dropping backwards. Finley Herwig's dropping backwards. Your points leaders are in the middle of the crap sandwich here, as we got a wreck happening behind the leader. Ooh, and it's going to get ugly. Some championship implications on that wreck, as it looks like Finley was involved in it. Well, we are getting treated to a true ARCA race here tonight, folks. Very unfortunate circumstances for drivers at the back of the field, getting tied up in another big wreck here tonight. We're only 10 laps into this one, and yeah, things just got a little bit harder for poor old Finley Herwig there, whose championship was getting, you know, right down to the nitty-gritty here in 2025 for that ARCA title. If he's lucky, they might be able to fix the damage on the car and keep rolling here tonight and try to salvage some points. And that is not the case. It looks like they have to retire the 68 tonight. He's going to be figured into about a 37th place finish, unfortunately. 37th or 38th. Well, what a wild way to start this ARCA race from Kansas, folks. Definitely polarizing from what we had with the Bridge to Cup race that was very calm, very uniform, and non-chaotic, to this very chaotic spin on it all here in Kansas tonight. You know, Finley's lucky. This could be a total wash if all the title contenders get taken out here tonight. He's still lucky to be within 30 points of the points leader. If some shenanigans happen that take out more drivers, it could turn into a wash here tonight, but he's definitely on the underside of the good luck charm, unfortunately, from Kansas. Alrighty, getting back to green here on lap 15. Man, we can't even get rolling. It's 2 cautions in, 15 laps deep. 9 laps, half of this race has been run under caution already. Let's get some racing under the way. So, long odds for some drivers that are deeper in the points that could still fight their way in. Heen Clutch Oak is 89 points out with a bad race from the top 4. He could get back in range. Ralph Oberstadt is 91 points out. He could still get back within range with bad luck on the top 4 contenders. Obviously, there's a lot that's going to have to unfold for that to happen, but just saying, there's a chance, like the Dumb and Dumber movie. So you're saying there's a chance. I'm impressed here with Mason Alexander. We kind of a relative unknown, but all of a sudden showing some strength here in the ARCA series, running up front. Had a great race winning at the short track of Langley. And the versatility from him jumping to a intermediate track like Kansas and leading the way is impressive. But he's got some tough customers to deal with. The 52 of Purpura, the 60 of Morse, and the 24 of Pliskin. That's just not even fair. You got 3 teamed up together. Those 3 may not be teammates, but they are best buddies, and they're fighting for wins alongside each other here. And they're just freight training the 53 of Mason Alexander III. Looks like we're going to get some green flag racing in now. Derek Hipcam at the back of the field with the damage. 35, Cassie Perkins, pretty well damaged. Pedro Sales. Astro Atlas, kind of the last of the cars on the lead lap that still have a little bit of pace. She did get involved in the wreck, but still running fairly well. Tyler McCarroll in the 96 car, 29th place right now. Billy Lovejoy, Timothy Buchanan, Kyle Chestnut, Todd, T.G. Castlenut, Cooper Landry, Tasha Wright, Gabe McDuffie, Joseph Hayes, Ace Vaden. And we've got some of our title contenders, Ralph Oberstadt, Jonah Burridge, and Ryan White. As it's running right now, Ryan White is losing some points to the 5 of Santi Messi. That is a Calvin Steel Racing Chevy against a Cording Brothers Motorsports Chevy. The 5 driving for KBM. With 22 laps in, 58 laps left to go. Santi Messi could really make a run for the money if he gets some more points here and draws even closer to that overall points lead on Ryan White here tonight. The Outlaw Gang starting to drive away with it now as Philip Purpura, Tim Morse, and Snake Pliskin lead the way. So yeah, Finley Herwig is going to be granted a 37th place finish here tonight. Very dismal in the points game. However, there's still 36 cars out there, spots ahead of him that could potentially belong to the other title contenders if they have a mechanical failure or get in a wreck. Oh, and here comes lap traffic in the mix. Snake Plissken just slices his way through the 62 there, making it happen for the lead. We'll go ahead and honor the lap traffic to let them race it out here tonight. Derek Hipcam in his first start here in the Sigma ARCA series, running around a little bit beaten up, but still trying to get some experience while at the same time trying to stay out of everyone's way. We don't often see these ARCA cars race at intermediate tracks a whole lot. Throughout the season so far this year, the only other tracks that we've hosted at tracks like this include New Hampshire, Michigan, Rockingham, and Las Vegas. So kind of rare air for a lot of these ARCA drivers to be racing at the bigger tracks like this, but it's great experience nonetheless. And tonight a lot of these drivers definitely learning for the first time how to make these cars function at an intermediate track. Kansas putting on a good show so far. Some unfortunate carnage to mark the beginning of the race, seeing one of our title contenders get knocked out early. Heartbreak for Finley Herwig, but it's definitely not the end of the championship, as maybe this was the last mulligan. You know, obviously with 4 races after tonight, Ryan White, who we're looking at here, could have a bad race and drop back. Jonah Burge could have a bad race and drop back. And so could Santi Messi. I mean, we've had some bad races for Jonah Burge this year. And it's, you know, it's possible. Anything can happen, and anything might just happen. But in the meantime, Jonah Burge trying to close his gap on Ryan White, the points leader, as he's running in 11th. Ryan White's dropped back to 20th. The 5 of Santi Messi, he's about knocking on the top 5 right now, as he could potentially be your points leader as they run. He's only 28 points out from Ryan White. The points are kind of staggered outside the top 5, so the higher up you run, it's not like standard NASCAR 43-1. We've got some graduations in the points structure here in Sigma ARCA. And my guesstimate is putting Santi Messi pretty close to that points lead with a top 5 versus a Ryan White top 20. Very common trend we've seen as of late, Snake Plissken out front leading. Alrighty, we are about halfway through the Where is Toto 120 from Kansas. And Snake Plissken leading the way. We're likely to see at least one round of pit stops here tonight, whether that comes under green flag competition or under caution, yet to be seen. Now Snake Plissken and the Outlaw Gang, they're starting to catch up to him here. Tim Morse up to second, closing the gap on the 24. Philip Purpura not too far back there in third. And Mason Alexander III trying to fight for a back-to-back win here in the ARCA series, which is very rare air to put yourself in. Fairly well newcomer to the series, Jimmy West having a top 5 run so far. Brandon Butler the second, Jeremiah Pate, Santi Messi in 8th, Shy Turtle in 9th. And here we have Campbell Marsh moving up to 10th, getting around Jonah Burge for the position. Burge top 10, top 11 as they run side by side down the front stretch. Kovacic, Silent Amethyst, Lenora Hathaway in her first ever Sigma ARCA start, running top 15 here tonight. Ace Vaden, Hayden Sparks, Ryan White has worked his way up to 17th here, but is bleeding a points lead away at the moment as his contenders are both ahead of him. '19 almost closed the door on the 70 there, but the 70 is going to prevail on the low line. 19 of Vaden still has a full head of steam on the outside. How is the 70 going to be able to handle this? Chop block on the front nose of the 70. The 19 keeps that position. Man, Ryan White is in kind of a tough situation there, fighting with traffic. Could be problematic if he gets tangled up in a wreck here. Gabe McDuffie running in 19th. TG Castlenet trying to climb up into the top 20 after having a rough start to this race. Paul Valenzuela running in 26th. Carlos Eduardo had a solid venture this year, but has fallen by the wayside as of late. Deeper and deeper he falls out of contention for that championship. Alex Duell, this is a first time for him in the series, making the venture into the Sigma ARCA for the first time ever. Got tangled up in a wreck, learning from tonight so that he can move on to next week and hopefully do better. Astro Atlas, unfortunately her car is not coming back to her at the end here, as Snake Plissken still continues to lead. Now a new second place rider. Philip Purpura gets by Morse, and Mason Alexander III also got by Morse. So breaking up the Outlaw Gang top 3 at the moment is your 53 car, the defending race winner from last week. Well, Mason Alexander III back up to second here, as he's going to have to try and hunt down the 24 of Snake Plissken. Starting to see some takers down pit road. It looks like the 0-2 of and lap traffic. Yeah, Chris Jeremio now coming off pit road here. We'll see if any other takers decide to come down pit road. The window's going to open around lap 65, I would say. Oh, and are we under caution? Yes, we are under caution for the second time tonight. Oh, and it's going to involve Ralph Oberstadt, who had a deep outside chance. And that might be all gone now. After we have a wreck that involves the 19 of Ace Vaden. That was brought upon by Ralph Oberstadt. Collects the 99 of Marsh and the 2 of Billy Lovejoy. Tough break for those involved in the wreck here tonight. So it looks like the 78 cuts low. 19, man, that just looked ugly. 78 drove right into the 19 there. Teammates nonetheless, which is even worse for that matter. There you have it. Yep, teammate on teammate crime right there. 19 of Vaden didn't do anything wrong, just got run into by the 78, his teammate. So this puts us at a point where everyone can go to the finish with this pit stop here. And might see some people trying to throw darts here and see if something sticks. Some strategy calls that could effectively give them track advantage. 45 of Jonah Burge coming off pits. Might be some people gaining some spots. Looks like the 70 of Ryan White moving up into the top 15. Just had great pit stops here. Some folks better than others. Alrighty, getting back to green here with 26 laps to go. It's Snake Plissken and Alexander the Third. Alexander the Third getting out to the lead on Snake Plissken. That is a bold push out of that 53 car, trying to hold off a very hard to beat number 24. They're side by side through the turn here. Looks like Plissken's going to get the advantage. Plissken, and now you've got West up into the third position, newcomer. Lenora Hathaway, newcomer, up into fourth. Three wide. Oh, and they're going to start wrecking in the background. I can just tell from the chaos. Dude, they stayed clean. No, they did not. Oh, and that is the 5 of Santi Messi, who is in the title battle. No way, folks. Some more championship implications. That is a nasty wreck. That 5 got airborne. It got ugly. And so Finley may be sitting pretty confident that this could still be in the ball court after tonight. This all happens when the 49 gets down into the grass. Paul Valenzuela drives it back off the apron into the 5, and they continue to wreck after the fact. Also involved is a whole bunch of the other cars. Oh, Ralph is done for the day now. Santi Messi's out of it. How in the world does TG Castlenut get through this as they wreck right in front of him? He gets a little bit of contact, but ultimately maneuvers his way through the traffic without getting too much of it. Well, folks, you are watching Sigma ARCA. Are you not entertained? Now out of the race, Santi Messi is going to get credited with a sub 30 finish here tonight. They're keeping that car on pit road for quite a while here, but I do think it's going to hit the retirement mark here shortly. There's no way that car will return under full power, as he hit that wall a ton. We might have to implement green-white checkers here tonight. Oh, heck, I'm going to throw it on now. I'm going to give us our green-white checkers allowance here tonight in case we need it. We may or may not. So the rest of the retirements joining the fold here after that big one includes the 78 of Ralph Oberstadt, the 02, the 96 of McCarroll, the 5 of Santi Messi, the 12 of Silent Amethyst, the 23 of Pate, and the 49, the rocket ship that took out the field, is out of the race. The 49 of Paul Valenzuela. 62 of Derek Hipcam holding on for dear life here today. 3 laps down. He's going to be able to climb up at least to 27th place once he gets around those that are retired now. But how about this, folks? Some newcomers on the scene. Lenora Hathaway fighting for a win here tonight. She's making her series debut here at Kansas. It's not totally out of the realm of realism that we see drivers win in their first career start. The guy that's starting right alongside her got the win in his first career start earlier this year. Could Lenora Hathaway perhaps stump the odds and steal a win from Snake Plissken? 20-lap shootout. We may or may not be done with cautions here tonight, but we've definitely got some storylines developing here. 53 of Mason Alexander III back up to second. Your points leader, Ryan White, up into the top 5 now, looking for as many points as possible. He may start to make that points battle null and void, but he's got the 45. Jonah Burge still fighting for points alongside of him. Laps are going to start clipping away quicker and quicker here at Kansas. So Mason Alexander, we're going to have to keep an eye on the time intervals here. He just turned his fastest lap of the race at a 28.183. Snake Plissken just turned his fastest lap of the race at a 28.165. They're pulling the limiters off now and trying to go as fast as possible to close out the race. What's on the line here, though, is back-to-back wins for Mason Alexander III, or potentially a third win for Snake Plissken on the season, which would be about 3 wins and 6 races for the guy. Barely got a late start, and with this early start to his career, he's been on one hell of a tear. Yeah, 2 wins on the season so far, 3 top 5s, 3 top 10s, and that's only been in 4 starts. So I was off by a race there. I was ahead of a race. If he could get 3 wins in 5 races, that's some astronomical statistics right there for that 24 car. Well, there you go. Jonah Burge making up some points on Ryan White, who has faltered here and dropped back to 15th. Or rather 12th, I guess. 11th or 12th, depending on how that shakes up between those two. I did not anticipate Kansas to be an eliminator race. I thought things would probably go pretty calm, cool, and collected here tonight, but quite the latter, as things have been chaotic and filled with very intense crashes. Drivers flying through the air, cars just getting disintegrated by the snap of a finger, by one wrong move by a couple rookies out there that made a bad move, taking out some big names. And yet we've got a battle brewing with the 2 Dodge Darts at the front of the field, Snake Plissken and Mason Alexander III. This may very well go down to the wire between these two. Third place swapping hands, maybe? Not quite. Jimmy West and Lenora Hathaway duking it out for the position there. But here comes Mason Alexander making a charge down the front stretch. He's going to put a nose on the inside of the 24. Is he going to have the momentum to make it stick? Driving it around the 24. That is a statement move there out of the 53 car. Side by side, down the backstretch. Who's going to come out on top? As they've now got 10 to go, this may very well come down to a drag race between the two. 24 closes the door. 53 is not done. That side-by-side racing may help bring Lenora Hathaway back into the mix. Lap traffic might make things interesting here as well. The 62 of Derek Hipcam. You don't want to play spoiler in a situation like this, but sometimes it's just, unavoidable. Sometimes it gets hairy for these ARCA drivers. 53 got stuck behind the 62 there and might be paying the ultimate price after he lost a big gap to the 24. Derek Hipcam's been doing well to stay clean of a big wreck. Hopefully this is not the caution that we get for a green-white checkered, as that could very likely happen with the field catching up to him here at intervals faster than him. Well, now we've got 3 dogs in the fight. Lenora Hathaway's closed back in. Mason Alexander's closed back in. And Snake Plissken just at the whim of the draft as they are working their way back up to it. He might be a sitting duck here. That 53's got the momentum on his side. But that green light may very well be the difference maker here tonight. If it stays green or goes yellow, that'll be a game changer. We're still staying green here. The Outlaw Gang trying to move back to the front. Try to get a 1-2-3 perhaps. As you got Tim Morse getting up to 3rd. Philip Purpura right in the ballpark of getting up to 4th. But they're going to have to work their way around the 53 of Mason Alexander III, who has been on one here tonight. Pliskin starting to lay it on a little thicker here, turn in the quicker laps with 3 laps left to go. Green-white checkers are on tap if we get another caution here. Pliskin just has to hold on for 3 more laps here at Kansas. And he'll have a winning record unlike any ARCA driver in his first 5 races of competition. Lap times have kind of evened out here as I think the tires are getting away from the 53, and Pliskin having saved enough tread to just drive around a little bit quicker than the 53. We're going to be down to 2 laps to go this time by. Is it going to be Pliskin stealing the show here today, or can Mason Alexander go back to back? Another lap car could still factor into this. Pliskin's going to catch the 99, who's pretty much a 2-second slowpoke. White flag waves, 1 more lap to go. Is Pliskin going to catch that lap traffic at a bad moment? Or is he going to be able to charge around like nothing happened? Looks like they're going to catch him on the backstretch here. The 53 has a chance. 99 of Marsh just trying to finish out the race here tonight. Pliskin not catching him at a spot where it's going to hurt him. He's going to get around the 99. 53 is going to come home second. Pliskin gets his third win on the season. If there's just one more lap, maybe Mason Alexander III could have had something for it, but comes home with a very respectable second place finish. The title contention, Jonah Burridge comes home 7th, gains a small portion of points over Ryan White, who came home 10th today. Definitely not a championship caliber race to rest your hat on, but was able to avoid hemorrhaging points when it could have been worse. So and that, folks, is a wrap here tonight. Congratulations to Alex Sanvital on getting the win in the Bridge to Cup Soda Pop 300. And then, yet again, Snake Plissken stealing the show here in the ARCA series. Four races to go. That championship battle is not determined yet. We will see it go down more than likely to the final race of the season. Well, thanks again, everyone, for tuning in. Tonight went so much better than last night with Crash into Desktop. This made up for everything we lost last night. So hopefully the Cup race goes off without a hitch tomorrow night, and it should be an interesting one, as we will tangle at Evergreen. So home track for the Washington natives. Going to be an interesting one at the 5/8 mile racetrack in Monroe, Washington. Well, things are getting tighter. Championships are getting a little bit clearer. And unfortunately, a couple drivers lost some ground here tonight in the ARCA series. But it's not over until it's over. That's what I always say. And 4 races is still a lot that could happen, especially if Ryan White and Jonah Burridge have a hiccup along the way. So keep your heads high if your names are Santi Messi or Finley Herwig, because there's still a lot of points to be up for grabs. So that'll be all for tonight, folks. Glad you can make it for the stream. Hopefully have a great night.